to your drama. Chase success with Global.Media.com and celebrate it with or without champagne or rum.
Yay, Lisa, say something.
Live.
We're
Live
live.
for
Lisa.
live.
This is
We're
really,
live. We're definitely live.
Finally.
yes, finally. Oh my goodness. Yeah, and I'm hoping that it doesn't go because I'm getting a very big lag with you all. But we are here, we are live. Well, welcome
Yeah.
everyone to another show about menopause. I am sorry that my volume is a little soft today because I am in a public space, so I'm trying not to make myself too noticed. But welcome to another show where we talk about everything to do with perimenopause and menopause. We are talking about burnout. So let me pass the mic quickly to my two co-hosts to introduce themselves and let's get the show started.
Excellent.
Serena, you want to start?
Okay, hi. Sure. Thanks for having me, Lisa, first of all. My name is Serena Nicole Brand, and I'm a lifestyle architect. What does that mean? I'm a business and life coach, specializing right now in slow living, intentional living, and burnout recovery. I'm based on the island of Trinidad, but my clientele is global. And I focus on helping high achieving women slow down without falling behind. So today, what I really wanted to look at, just in quickly passing before we move on to any, is looking at how we navigate burnout in midlife, in the perimenopause and menopausal stages, and how it actually might be a breakthrough and not a decline.
Awesome.
Okay, great.
Any?
Annie, your turn.
I'm never that elegant, I do. I have a very simple life. I get to help people to write the books, publish their books, and market their books. Have you got books, Serena? Have you written the book yet?
Oh, definitely. I have a few ebooks already, and I'm always looking to make a full length one. I have a lot of shorter ones, and I actually have a freebie that I designed for your audience specifically about what we talk about today. So I'll share that link later on.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I'm glad I asked. I'm glad I asked. You know, I mean, ebooks. You need 24 pages to have a book, right? To have a print book.
Other than that, it's a booklet, right? Or
And
pamphlet.
other than that, Amazon just won't print it. You've got 24 internal pages and they'll print it as a book. Then you can essentially,
Oh, okay.
and people like small books these days because they're lazy. Like me, they're lazy. They don't want to read too much. So,
Right.
yeah. If you have an ebook, let's turn it into a print book. That's why I say
Okay.
you
Yeah,
might
we'll
as
talk
well.
about that later.
Let's do that.
Yes, Annie is the guy to talk to about printing and publishing books.
Right, right.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
we're in good company.
As far as maybe it's worth saying. I say I do spend my days doing the end to end for authors. So doing these events is part of it's part of my book marketing services really. I want people to know. Well, after writing a book, I want people to know who you are, Serena. More live events, my friend. More live events.
Well, this is my first one, my very first one, and I hope it won't be my last.
Yeah, one of many, one of many.
Yes.
Indeed, I give it back to you, Lisa. Take us in. Well, I suppose maybe if our friends are here, do drop us a comment, say hi, say something. Now, talk about burnout. Have you experienced it? What are your strategies? So say
Yes,
something. If you don't say something,
please
I'll
let
never
us know where you're running from.
exactly. I say I
Yeah,
wouldn't know
sorry
you've
for
been
the
here.
late start.
You,
Yes,
you
sorry for the late start,
survive,
guys.
my friend. You
I
survive.
am, yes, I know, but I still want to apologize. I am not at home, so I'm using someone else's Wi-Fi and I couldn't connect properly, so it took me like half an hour to do that. But welcome again. My name is Lisa Favec. I'm a dietitian and coach for women in perimenopause and menopause. And we are here every other Tuesday, 5 p.m. Eastern, talking about all things perimenopause and menopause. and today is no different. I met Serena through a LinkedIn live event that we had locally here in Trinidad and Tobago. And I got to talking to her and found out that she talked about burnout. And after our last LinkedIn live, where we talked about caregiving in menopause and all the trials and tribulations that go with that, I thought it was a nice segue where we could talk about burnout. Because a lot of my clients, those are the words they use, they're burnt out, they're tired, they're exhausted, and this month being Mental Health Awareness Month, I thought it was a good topic that we could cover. So please, if you're joining us live or in the replay, let us know your thoughts. Are you experiencing burnout? Do you have any strategies that you use? Or if you have any questions, please leave it in the comment section. We always go back to the comments and try to answer them. Well, why I wanted to start today really was to find out what is burnout. And I know we have yeah, I really do need to leave at 6:30. Unfortunately, I have another engagement. But I know this term burnout is being bantered about all over the place. It's like the in thing now. But what is burnout? How do we know we're in burnout? Are there any particular symptoms? What makes burnout different from just being really tired or really exhausted? So, Serena, could you just give us some insights into what is burnout? How do we know we're in burnout?
Well, I think that's a very good question, and it's a very good distinction to make between just fatigue and exhaustion. I would say that the thing with burnout is that it tends to be, or at least to start on a low level, meaning that it will disguise itself perhaps as fatigue and exhaustion, but then you start to realize that rest does not negate it anymore. Whereas before, you may have been able to rest and recover, you may have been able to take a little time off, take a little weekend to yourself, and you're back and ready on Monday. It continues to persist, it continues to linger. And again, as women, as high achieving women in particular, we tend to brush that through and we take it on as a personal failing, something that we need to try harder, we need to overcome. When actually, it's our body telling us that maybe the program that we have bought into is now failing us and is no longer suited for the chapter of life that we're in or the chapter of life that we are transitioning towards emotionally, mentally, and physically. So I would say that burnout is when there's a lack of alignment between what your body can sustain, the amount of energy that it can continue to manufacture and create towards an endeavor. And when that endeavor is no longer in alignment with what you yourself need as a human, because we tend to not see ourselves as human first. But I think menopause, and one of the beauties of menopause, is that our body forces us, if, unless we have already been attuned and making those adjustments, that's when it really forces us to look inside, to look outside, and be like, who am I really, and what do I want next? Does that answer your question, Lisa?
Yeah, and I think that's a good question that we need to keep asking ourselves. What do we want next? Especially, yes, are you hearing me?
Yes.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you. Are you hearing me?
Oh boy.
Oh
That's
dear,
not
I
you.
think she's not hearing us again.
Yeah, I'm hearing you clearly.
That's all
Okay,
right.
wonderful.
So,
Yeah, there's a lag in the internet, I guess.
Oh, okay, a little bit of a lag. No problem.
Yeah.
let's welcome our friends whilst we make sure. Christy, welcome. Like, it was good to see you. Say superstar. Linda is here as well. And Dr. Leslie is here. Hello, Lisa, and panel with friends from North Carolina. There's more people here, so I say, but please do say something so we can welcome you properly. Of course, now the
Yes, please,
link.
please leave a comment where you're joining us from, and if you have any questions.
Yes, if you got any questions,
Sorry,
just
and you
put
were
it.
saying something?
I say if you got any questions, put it in the chat, or otherwise you're welcome to join the studio to ask the question. That way you get a real time, in real time answer. Right? Anyway, you're back again, Lisa. So I give it back to
Yeah.
you.
So I like what's yeah. Okay, thank you. I like what Serena was saying about finding out who am I in this chapter of life, because that is something that a lot of women are asking themselves. Do I want to stay in the job that I'm in? Do I want to change jobs or maybe have a side hustle? Am I taking care of aging parents now? Am I taking care of children? Do I have a mortgage? Do I want vacation? A lot of questions come up around this time. And it's something that I think we as women, we need to ask, what do we want for ourselves, instead of the usual thing we do is taking care of everyone else first and putting their needs first. How do we go about, okay, so we think we're in burnout. What are some of the signs that we can look for? So I know you talked about fatigue, that
Hmm.
if we even get a supposed good night's sleep, we still feel tired. Are there any other signs we can look for, or any other behaviors that come up if we're in burnout?
I would say that in addition to the fatigue and the exhaustion, there's a lack of interest or passion, a lack of excitement, just a general dullness, a grayness to life. Whereas before, the things that would have engaged us or that we would have strived for, we don't get the same sense of satisfaction or elation when we achieve them. It's almost just like a ho hum. That's definitely a sign that once again there's a core value that is not being met, and that is a sign of burnout. In addition to that, I would say just irritability. It often comes across as shortness or irritability, easy to anger, and that is basically because our tolerance level, when we talk about managing and how we cater to everyone's needs, that comes at a price and it comes at a toll. And you will find that often the physiological changes, the hormonal changes that come with menopause, there's a physical, I'm sure you know about this as well, Lisa, and you will have nutritional advice, of course, around it. But we physically cannot tolerate a lot of the input that we were able to in our 20s and our 30s. So we might think of it as, oh, I should be more patient. I should be able to handle all these new challenges, the caregiving. I'm a full time caregiver as well for my mother. And I should be able to manage all these things. I was doing it fine 5 years ago, 4 years ago. What changed? What happened? Again, it's those physical and it has a roll off into the mental and the psychological, and we don't have the threshold that we have anymore, so a lot has to rearrange. So if you find that you're being short, you're being irritable, you're tired, you're not feeling any sense of passion or excitement, even though you're doing something that you love or you should love and that it's working, but you just can't get that feeling again of excitement, those are all signs of burnout.
And that could be really difficult to diagnose, because all those symptoms you're describing happens in menopause without being in burnout. The hormonal changes will cause all of those things to happen to a woman. So this is where maybe talking to a doctor, your primary caregiver, um, a healthcare specialist, to see if, okay, am I experiencing burnout? Maybe that's when we need to tap into those resources, because it could be really hard to diagnose these things if those are normal symptoms of menopause that you're describing. Any other questions in the comment section, or any other persons you want to say hi to before we move on?
Myself first. Again, I think like you were saying, Lisa, many of the symptoms you mentioned, Serena, are, I guess they can look like other things, right? So I'm doing the book on getting unstuck. So moving on from being stuck, and it sounds like something very similar, where you say you lose the will to work, you lose the joy, you lose you sometimes it's not always coming to a grinding halt. It can look like maybe it can maybe it's a disconnection from what you're doing and the life you're living. That's probably more
Yeah.
the real
But
symptom.
one thing I would say is that traditional medicine or Western medicine has had a habit of normalizing a lot of these things. So even when you say, Lisa, a lot of those things are normal with menopause, that has been part of the literature that this is just a normal part of aging. And my framing is that, is it? Is it
Mm,
necessarily a normal part? Because it's a normal sequence that we go through, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't need addressing. So yes, we normally will have these stages, but this stage of life is shifting our focus and awareness inward, and to be a little more selfish, a little less selfless,
mm,
you know. And I think that that's where sometimes when people say, oh, but it's normal, it means go on the same way that you've always gone on, and
mm,
that is where you can actually end up reaching like a breaking point. And so my whole focus is, let's not reach a breaking point.
mm,
Let's not necessarily see it as something to just overcome, because it's not necessarily that the message is that we need to overcome it. But again, when a woman has been so high achieving, if once she hears something is normal, she thinks she can put it to the side until later.
mm,
And my whole thing is, don't wait, because there are diamonds, there are lessons, there are really beautiful things coming out of this moment of disconnect that can actually make the experience of menopause um, more dynamic and actually more fruitful in terms of your growth and your development. So um, yeah, don't necessarily think that the malaise, that sense of malaise, is something to just sit through.
mm.
Does that make
I-
sense?
yeah, it makes perfect sense. I'm just wondering, is the answer to do less or something else? Is the answer just simply to do less as you get older, or no, is there a better way to avoid burnout?
I wouldn't say it's to do less. One of the things that I start with whenever I'm working with a new client is for them to value their core values. I have a
Mm,
core value mapping worksheet, and to map their 5 core values. And when I say core values, sometimes that comes up right away, sometimes it takes deeper thought. But the core values are the
yeah.
things that they really believe in. It
Mm,
might be esoteric, it might be interpersonal, it just might be something internal to them. It might be something from childhood that they've put aside, or something that they've recently discovered. They took a trip and they had an awakening and they realized they're on a new life path.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I hear you. Am I frozen? No. Okay, we lost. I lost everyone for a second.
Yeah.
Are you both back? Right,
Wait,
Serena.
what just happened?
Yes.
You froze for a second,
Oh,
Serena. You froze, right?
yeah. I
Oh
do
my
not think
God.
that the internet wants us to talk about this topic.
You fell off. You just fell off, Lisa. I don't know. You disappeared and
Yeah.
came back again.
That is
Welcome,
crazy.
Kareem. Is Kareem one of your friends? I'm sure she
Hi,
is.
Corrine, welcome in.
There's normal doesn't
Right,
mean
normal does not mean it's the
it's the best way, or it has to be that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
Exactly.
so,
Yeah, and that
so
is why we have these shows every other Tuesday, 5 p.m. Eastern, because yes, it's common to have these symptoms, but we don't want to normalize it in a way that we can't do anything about it, or we don't have any solutions to these problems. So that's why, we tackle all these topics, all these hard hitting topics, because we want women to know that yes, you can be going through it and nothing is wrong with you, but there are certainly things you can do to help alleviate these situations. And we've lost Serena.
it seems like we lost Serena. It seems like but then I say I'm never sure these days that the way
Yeah,
tech
I
goes, right? She's still there.
Stream does not like us. Any other comments, Cindy? I think we're going to have to
You know,
change. Yeah,
I suppose
lines of
I was thinking, like with exercise, right? It's just unsustainable to carry on trying to be the king of the gym when you get to middle age. It's silly. So, I talk about this regularly. Of course, you know this already. So, well, my son
Yeah,
telling me, no, dad, you don't need to do 3 hours a day every day or every other day. You never need to do 3 hours. So it's about
yeah,
finding the right exercise that works for you. I guess I'm trying to avoid. As Serena said, I'm trying to avoid suggesting that we do less. It's not about doing less. It's about doing less, but being more effective.
yeah. I
More
think
direct.
it depends on the person, of course.
Mm,
Sometimes it can be doing less if we're trying to do everything for everybody all at once, and I have clients like that. But sometimes it takes a restructuring. So again, what Serena was saying. Hi, welcome back, Serena.
I was talking my tongue.
Yeah, I think Restream does not like us, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Yeah, so what I was saying is that, like you were saying, Serena, sometimes it takes a restructuring, going back to your core values, seeing what's important to you, and maybe breaking it down into steps. What's important to you this year may differ from next year, and that's okay. It may take doing a lot less. It may be cutting back on the amount of things in your calendar, but that's why working with a good coach and could sit down and really discover what's important to you, what's going on in your life, and not have like a cookie cutter
mm.
solution for everybody. So those were really good points. And you were looking at the comments before all this drama took place. Any other comments that we need to look at?
Yeah, it welcomes more friends.
Yes,
There's
please.
amazing. Gladys is here. How you doing, Gladys? And hello to you. I'm
I
tuning in
haven't
from
seen Gladys in a while.
Texas.
Hi.
So glad you're here. Am I missing? I sure I've missed someone else. I think I have. Maybe I haven't yet. So we're still waiting for more comments. When I say literally, thank
Yes,
you all for
please say where
joining
you're
us.
joining us from,
Yes, no, thank you so
because
much.
we cannot see you if you don't comment. Put a comment. We
No,
can't see
of
you.
course not. Of course not. No.
Yeah,
Look,
I'm definitely
here's a
not
question.
seeing any comments at all.
Here's a question for you, Serena.
Hmm.
I think we can become more efficient rather than trying to do more. I say like there are two things that I think of, especially when it comes to me these days doing what I do. I've done the days of doing the all nighters and all dayers. It does me no good. It makes me feel more ill, right? So I don't get more work done either. Yeah, but so now the one thing that I found lately is, I guess, having a routine that I like doing. Just having a routine. I think it's for all sorts of reasons. So I know. Rather than trying to fit myself into some sort of weird routine that I don't like, my routine, it's what I like. Essentially, I know when I wake up, I know what I'm going to do for the first hour, which is my meditation, journaling, all that stuff, right? And then second hour is when I do my business stuff, and then third hour I'm doing client one and client two. That's how my day goes, right? And I think it gives me just confidence, peace, and confidence knowing I don't have to worry about what am I going to do today, and so now it's about even that just by having that simple routine, I get more done. And it doesn't mean saying that it doesn't mean I spend hours and hours and hours on anything. I think that it's doing bits, show up, do a bit at a time, rather than trying to the days gone by. I was like an ostrich. And if I had a deadline, I would literally wait to the last minute and then try and do. When I was at school at uni, for example. That's when I was doing the all nighters. If you had to get done, I would do it last minute, as long as it takes. So now I've learned to just do it bit by bit, a long time before the deadline.
Right.
sort of remove the stress. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, is that a good way to go about it, or then
Oh,
and are they?
definitely. But again, for me, it comes back to the core values because this is one of the things that I had a problem with in my earlier years of coaching. Because a lot of the times we learn frameworks, which can be one size fits all. And one of the things that I found when I had my burnout recovery on my own path, was to realize that the core values were more important, with the steps before the frameworks. And so for you, it sounds like one of your core values would be like comfort or stability, and for somebody who values comfort and stability, a routine is invaluable because it provides that. But for somebody, say, who values freedom, and for them, freedom means I'm not tied down, I'm not bound by things, giving them a routine, oh, they're going to burn out. It's not that they don't need a routine, but they need it to be more looser, or maybe more energy based, or more based on, the time of the month for women.
That's
Or
that's
yeah, it has to be a little more loosey goosey, and maybe they have one day a week where they have nothing planned. That's just for whatever they wake up and feel to do, or what they feel to be. That's their day. Now, for somebody who loves comfort and stability like me, I can do that, but maybe I just once a month. Once a week, I don't need it. So that's why I like to go to the core values, and then we can decide um, what framework we're going to put in place for that client. Because routine is wonderful, but the routine has to feed the values that is important to the person.
yeah, for sure, for sure. And again, I think a routine, it should be, it can be freeing more than being imprisoning. Because like I say, it's just telling your brain and stopping your brain going on anxiety trips. Have I done enough? What should I be doing? Have I done that? Have I done this? So I think just being able to calm your brain down to say, look,
Oh
you've
yes.
done, you've done what you have to do today. Calm
Oh
down,
yes.
and again, sometimes a part of my routine is sometimes it's not even about working. It's about showing up. So let's say I'm going to work on someone's book. So I know in my routine when I'm going to tackle that book in my day, right? And some days I will literally turn the computer on, open the book, and go, oh well, yeah. I do 2 minutes and then close it. But I've showed up. At least I've done
Yes.
some of it, rather than
Yes.
going away with the anxiety, which I swear that causes burnout in itself.
It
You
does,
know,
and
constant
especially if
worry.
somebody's a perfectionist,
Mm,
which you might be. Um, you're very prone to those loops and those
yeah,
cyclical thoughts as a result of that, and whatever can interrupt that pattern, you'll find very useful. So having built-in pattern interrupts, when to walk away, when to close after 2 minutes. Those are perfect methods of addressing that.
yeah. Look, you mentioned energy, of course, and hopefully we'll talk about food as well. I'm sure this is important in this conversation. Food helps me.
Just any before you go on,
Go.
I just wanted to add one thing to it. So I just want women or people who are listening to know that sometimes you may not know what your schedule is, or you may not know what works for you. It's okay to experiment as well. So for some people, they may start with having very strict deadlines or routines, and they may find, okay, as Serena was saying, maybe they need a little more freedom. So, okay, maybe the morning period is where you have the strict schedule, and the afternoon is where you keep it a little freer. Or maybe if you're a night person, you switch it around. So don't think that, okay, whatever we're suggesting, if it doesn't work for you, that you're failing or you're doing something wrong. This is the time to also experiment and get curious with what works for you. And again, it's going back to your core values, but give yourself that love and grace to know, okay, I could experiment. Let me see if maybe let's start with an hour of structured time and see if that works. If I feel comfortable, if it doesn't raise the anxiety, then okay, maybe I can go for 2 hours. Maybe I can do the morning period. And in the afternoon, I do something else that's more relaxed. Or maybe it's the other way around. I know sometimes I'm a night person, and 10 o'clock at night is when I get that energy. So that's where I have my focus time from 10 to 11, and really put in an hour's work because it works for me. So don't think that, whatever we're suggesting, use this as a time to be open and curious and see what works for you. And if it doesn't work, okay, this is not for you. Let's try something else. And Annie, are you frozen? Oh, okay, it's just my screen glitching. Yeah, okay.
I'm on mute.
Okay.
That's my fault, right?
Oh, okay.
As Corinne says, one size doesn't fit all, right? So there's no one size that fits all, and so if today's conversation is landing for you, the
I just
discernment,
dropped my freebie in the chat
Okay.
right?
Oh,
for those
great.
who are on right
Yeah.
now.
Okay. So what are we looking at, Serena?
That's my gift to Lisa's audience today, for those who are on the live, and I guess will be on the replay as well. It's called the discernment questions, and it's 7 questions that a woman or a man can ask themselves, because it's not menopause specific, but it relates to the types of priority and value shifts that women at this point in life are having. And basically, if you answer those questions, it will help you to did Lisa go? It will help you to greater address those shifts that you might be having in your values and priorities right now. So you can see where your energy is draining, and also where you may need to shift your energy towards to have greater alignment if you are experiencing or suspecting that you're starting to experience burnout. And it's a free
Yes.
download.
Okay, great.
I like that, of course.
Yeah.
So
And you can download it too, Annie.
yes, I probably will. Hopefully it will reinforce. I think part of the point is we need to do what works for us, right? But as soon as I say that, I guess I realize if you have your own business, then you can have some freedom. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
the issue is if you don't run your own business and you are, let's say you're an employee, then suddenly you're tied in, and you're tied into other people's agendas and schedules and all sorts. And I mean, how does one avoid feeling pressured? That's what I want to use today. How do you avoid feeling pressured in the workplace when you're not in control?
Yes, that's a very hard one, and that can be a very complicated one. The answer depends on how much flexibility the person has in their role as an employee, because obviously a C-suite executive is going to have a different day than, say, an executive assistant or a secretary. But for me, the first things that I start with are what are the areas that they have leeway with in terms of their daily schedule. How much flexibility do they have in carving out their private time, depending on how much need they have for replenishing their energy during the day. Which tasks they find most taxing, most draining, and how we can batch effectively if possible. Now, if it's someone who has very little say over their day, like, say, example, a secretary or junior executive who has a lot of tiers above them that they have to report to, one of the places that I say to start is with their lunchtime. At least that's a non-negotiable. Depending on the industry, sometimes lunch can go off the table, but if they can secure lunchtime, at least half of that lunchtime towards intentional eating, for lack of a better term, that's a great way to recenter their nervous system, because it allows you to reconnect with your breath and with your inner thoughts. A lot of the times we use food and eating almost as an auxiliary to doom scrolling and to taking in like workspace gossip and things that may be very entertaining on the surface but are still energy drains. So if we can carve out at least half of a work hour, if not the whole hour, but sometimes you do need to have those little networking moments in lunchtime to know the politics. But if you can carve out half an hour to just yourself, to just intentional breathing, really studying the food that you're eating, studying your inner world and your thoughts, sequestering yourself a bit, that can give you enough energy to continue through the rest of the day. And the effects will compound from there on. So I always say start with that, and then we can start to see what else can shift downstream from there.
Right. Lisa, you're back
Yes, I keep dipping in and out.
of your own event. Imagine that.
Of
Eh?
my own event. Yes, yes. And I hopefully you're not hearing too much of the background noise that I'm getting as well.
It's all right.
But just
We'll
yes, to add on to what Serena was saying, we call it mindful eating. So, of course, it's how you eat, what you eat, when you eat. You want to eat in, of course, a calm uh, headspace so that you don't raise stress hormones, the cortisol. Because once stress starts to raise, those stress hormones start to raise, your body doesn't absorb nutrients properly and it stores a lot of it as fat. So it's not a good idea, for example, to eat while you're trying to finish something on a deadline. It's better you finish your deadline and then go to eat. Now, I know sometimes, as Serena was saying, is we don't have control over our lunch hour. We have to finish certain things and we have to somehow eat in between there. But just be mindful of when we do that as a habit. Once or twice may be okay, but if we do it as a habit, the more times we eat under stress, our body is not absorbing nutrients. And if we're not absorbing nutrients, your body isn't getting it what it needs to function properly. So that idea of burnout, losing energy, will be more and more apparent as you if you continue that habit. Of course, eating more plant-based foods to get that energy, and first of all, to eat more carbs. I know as women, we think, okay, we're gaining weight because we're eating more carbohydrate rich foods. But carbs is where you get your energy from. So, what you want to do is eat more fiber rich carbs, at least quarter of your plate protein, and then the rest of your plate, half your plate vegetables. And also eat for joy. So I know a lot of times we talk about the nutrients, but also eat for joy. Your food should taste good. You should be sort of excited, and I know Eddie could relate to this. You should be
Yeah.
excited by the food that you have. So season it well. Make your favorite sauce. Make it colorful. Have different textures, different flavors. All of those things bring joy. And if you're joyful when you're eating, then your mindset is changing. You're reducing that stress. You're more grateful for where your food comes from. All of those things help to reduce that burnout and boost your energy. So just wanted to add on to what was being said and remind all people, if you're accustomed to being on the show, you've heard me say those things a lot. But it's just a good to remind yourself that yes, eat for your nutrients, but also eat from a place of joy as well.
I like that. I like that. I don't know. Of course, I like that. You know, I think the important thing, is eat what you like, what you genuinely like, right? I think
Yes.
that is so important. I don't know, and every day is a food heaven for any every day. Even today is going to be a food heaven because I'm doing my lamb ribs as we speak, and God, I'm looking forward to it. And at the end, I will say, "Wow, this is amazing." I think we all deserve to have that joy in our lives, right? We
Oh
all deserve to
yeah,
have that. I
definitely.
mean, now's the time to do what we want to do. I can't say that enough.
Oh,
You know,
what's all this music?
my
I'm hearing
phone,
music all of a sudden.
my phone rings, which it does. I said, Dr. Marcia, welcome. She says, I can't click the link. Dr. Marcia, I will send you the link to your DM. How's that?
Oh, you can't click on. Oh, it's not clickable. Yes.
No, from the chat, you can basically you can copy and paste it into your browser. Whereas if you go to the event page, now the link is on there, so you can click on the link on the event page.
Or
Yeah, you
make sure
might
the
have
link is on
to.
LinkedIn and not Restream as well. You pasted it on LinkedIn.
Yes, I
Yes,
pasted it on LinkedIn. Let me try
yes.
again because it did pull it up.
Yeah.
And then let's see here.
Something,
Try
yes, I think
again. No,
the
it's
show
not
is closed,
clickable.
I tell you.
Yes, I think it has to be copy pasted. Let's see here.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks for letting us know, Dr. Marcia. I appreciate
Yes,
that.
thanks. What's the best way to, where's the best area to put it?
So I'm just putting it on the comment section of the event page. That way, you can click on it directly, and then I'm going to send the same link to Dr. Marcia's DM. That way, you can click on it from there as well.
Thank you.
Uh,
So I
so
know we were talking about energy, but burnout has a very heavy mental health aspect as well. This being Mental Health Month, I was talking to a group of women, and one of them was saying that she couldn't continue to produce at the in the way she was usually doing it. She couldn't meet her deliverables because she's a caregiver for her mom who has dementia. And she was, coping, probably experiencing burnout already, but she was coping with giving her the medication and taking her to the doctor's visits and all of those things. But when her mother decided she was just going to stop eating, that's when you could really hear it in her voice that,
Yeah.
when she said she doesn't know what to do again. But it wasn't the words, it's how she said it that I realized that she was in like complete burnout, right? Because
Yeah.
it is just like, what do I do again? You feel so defeated. So, can you just touch a little bit about that mental health aspect and
Yes.
what women could do to help with those situations?
Well, it ties back to what I had said earlier on that we tend to see this stage of life, midlife, especially as high achieving women, that when we're not able to rebound the way that we used to, we're not able to deliver the way that we used to, we see it as a personal failing. And so, as a result of that, it can be very easy for us to judge ourselves and to find ourselves wanting and lacking and falling short, which will compound the mental health repercussions when the what we're being called on at this stage is to look outward and to ask for help to ask for support to be more discerning in what we take on. It might be that we were able to have do 10 deliverables, but maybe now what we need to focus on are two high impact deliverables, two deliverables that will have maybe the same net result in terms of outcome, but it's two projects that we can handle instead of 10 different directions that we're being pulled in. So once we are aware of that and we get that support, or we can at least reach out and ask for that support and not see it as a failing or a falling short or a lack on our part, that helps towards our sense of community. Because as I'm sure you know, Lisa, community is a big part of mental health strength as well. When we feel that we have to be lone warriors, it's very taxing and it's not sustainable. So I would say that in midlife, it's when we're really being called on to draw on our networks, to not be afraid to reach out, and to also to be more discerning in what it is that we say yes to. We can't say yes to everything anymore. We don't have the time, we don't have the energy, we have more demands, as that lady that you referred to was experiencing for herself. I hope that helps.
Yeah, and sometimes reaching out could be letting your supervisor or boss know what you're going through. Of course, every situation is different. Sometimes they don't make it very easy to talk to them. But if you can talk to your supervisor and let them know, even if it's just to let them know, hey, my mom is, she has dementia. Sometimes I need to take an hour extra with her to help her with her, activities or, take her to the doctor, whatever it is, Maybe I can work an extra hour or work through my lunch to make up the time. Sometimes we can be very surprised if we just open up and let people know what's going on. Our close friends at work, because most of the time we're all going through the same thing, just maybe slightly different. And we could all tap into each other's resources or even just to have a listening ear to let people know, okay, yeah, I'm going through the same thing. Maybe we could meet on the weekend, have a coffee and vent to each other, and maybe that will release some stress. There are little things we could do that it doesn't take a lot out of us, but it requires us to be open with other people, which could be sometimes challenging in itself. But it's all important to recognize it and keep trying.
Yes.
I
And I
even
think
saw
also, sorry.
no, I was just going to say I saw a comment from Christy before saying she cleans a room one room at a time.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's so important, just going back to what you were saying, break it down. What's one important thing that we could achieve today? So if we have the whole house to clean, don't clean the whole house and be dead for the rest of the week. Take it one room at a time, one corner at a time. Maybe divide that room into four. And I
Yeah.
always say, for me, music helps. Music is a great stress reliever. So throw in your favorite tunes and work on that project, until you get that done. Get that one thing done for the day. Let that be a win. And if you do extra, that's just, icing on the cake, as they say.
Yes, and as I was going to say, is that also a lot of the times, as high achieving women and in midlife, we tend to sometimes downplay our achievements and our
Yeah.
accomplishment and our expertise. And so there might be a weariness to approach a supervisor per se, as you say, because we see it as shrinking ourselves instead of seeing it as, I'm this very valuable component. I have all this expertise, I have all this experience, and life is now pushing me into another direction. Instead of seeing it as a peer to peer discussion, we still tend to see ourselves as subordinate. So I think it's a very important that in this time of life that we also come to the drawing board aware of all that we do carry and bring to the conversation. That we don't shrink and see ourselves as begging, begging for a little something. That's not the energy to walk into the room with at this stage.
Yes, that is so true. Sorry, I'm coughing so much. I'm having an allergic reaction to the dust, so I'm very puffy and coughing a lot. I don't know what my face looks on camera, but I feel very swollen and puffy. Today is just not my day.
Today's a day.
Yeah,
Today is
today
Dane.
is just, oh boy. Any other comments or questions in the chat? Because
There's
it
many more
has been working
comments.
on this day.
This is it. So, Dr. Marcia, hopefully you have the link now to join us. So, so I'll send the link to your DM, and the link is on the event page as well. If you don't want to join us, then please, now's the time. Lisa has, yeah, we are leaving in 10 minutes or less.
Yeah.
So, so Gladys says, thanks for the great advice, Lisa. I'm working on eating healthier. Stress can be overwhelming at times for me. You know, eating healthy, just eating good food that you like is part of eating healthier, right? That's what you said, Lisa.
Yeah,
Okay.
and if it's overwhelming, you don't have to do everything on that day. If the most you can do is break off some lettuce leaves and add it to your lunch, or grab a cucumber or some tomatoes and throw it in your lunch bag. If that's all you could do that day, that's more than you did yesterday, and that's totally fine. So don't let eating healthier add more stress to your life. Just find one little thing you could do in that moment that would add some nutrition to your meal.
Cool. Lisa, you're a good time girl. You are. I want to have exciting
I
food.
make
I'm
it
gonna, I'm gonna,
simple.
I'm gonna eat a cucumber. Lisa, seriously?
I know I didn't mean just a cucumber. I meant, let me clarify. I don't mean just eat a cucumber. No, we are not goats. I meant if you're looking to add veggies to your plate
Okay, all right.
and you don't have time to make a full salad.
Yeah,
I
okay,
would
all
never tell
right.
people
Oh,
just eat lettuce. Oh my God, that's no fun. And there's no real nutrition in that. No, no, no. I meant you would have meal prepped before, but if you don't have time to do a lot, just
hmm.
see what you could add.
Yeah, no, okay, okay, that I can understand that. I can understand that.
Yes,
No,
sorry for the
nothing.
confusion.
Do check out Serena's, the discernment questions. It's about being choosy and choosing the right things for us, right? That's what this comes down to. Let's say prioritizing what's important, what we value, rather than trying to chase other people's, no,
Yes,
priorities.
idea was important. Yeah.
Decide our own. But no, you don't get the free survey for that, right? And let's see how far you get. So Yolanda, thank you for joining us. Thank you so much for being here. So I do see you around. To say hi to everyone. Tuesday. Who else is here? Coach Sean is here. Excellent.
Okay.
Uh,
Hi.
do not boast. It's not ladylike. Really? I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, let me leave that to you too. I suppose like because Serena and I were talking about this earlier. It's not boasting. It's just realizing at this stage of life, you know, you have more control over what you do or don't do. You have more boundaries, and living your has to be the aim of life. If you're not living your joy, what are you living? You know,
Yeah.
as I say,
And whose definition of ladylike are we using?
that's what I'm just thinking. Again, we'll talk about this
Yes.
briefly.
Why am I living by a definition I did not ascribe to,
Mm,
or I may not align with my definition? Maybe I have my own definition. That's the one I'm gonna live by.
Yeah, and usually when people tell us to be ladylike, it's usually be seen and not heard, and don't
mm.
complain
It's
or
a
don't
control tactic. It's a control word.
yeah.
It's time to break free from those shackles, and just live whatever it is that gives you joy. Do more of that, really.
Yeah.
Don't be
But I
afraid to
think
take
it's
up the room. Don't be afraid to
but I
take up
think
the
it's
room.
also where it comes from, where your words come from. If I'm
Yes.
speaking from a place of, well, I want to celebrate and I want
Mm,
others around me to be celebrated and be a part of it, then it's not boasting.
mm,
I want
But
people
there are
to
some people who
find
will
the
still take
joy.
it that way, huh? There's some people like even
Well, I
when you
mean,
come in with your joy and your celebration, they're still gonna be like,
true, but I also think, okay, read your room as well. Make sure people are able to receive the message any way you're intending. So
yes,
read your rooms. Don't just come in there boasting, talking about your joy and
read the
everybody's
room. I
stressed
like that.
out.
Yes, read the room.
Yeah,
That's
I
important.
think
it's not boasting.
there are ways to.
So no, I was no again say because I said it earlier. I won't let anyone spoil my day. I will not unless I've lost my mind. I can pretty much if someone says something I don't like or that's they don't like what I'm doing, I'm like get over it. As long as I'm not hurting someone, I'm fine. I mean, thinking in business, people want to tell you you're wrong half the time. Their customers, oh, I'm not happy. I'm like, you're not happy? Oh well, I tried my best.
Well, I
We crack
think once
on.
you're trying, you're genuinely trying your best and you're
Mm,
trying to meet them where they are. Not
mm,
everybody is going to like you. You're not a coach for everyone, and that's
mm.
okay. People resonate with different people and personalities, and that's okay. Just find who you resonate with. But I
Yeah,
can
yeah,
celebrate my wins without telling everybody as well.
I
I
agree.
can do something just for me,
Agree.
so
Agree.
it depends on the situation, what it is, but if people around me are going to find it useful, then maybe it's something in their lives that they're not
Mm.
tapping into. Maybe they have something in their childhood that's coming up for them. It
Yeah,
mean no, I mean it could be
Well, that's what
different
I was going to
things.
say that
Which
as well, that the context matters, but also triggers matter. And it might
mm,
be
yeah,
that the other person is being triggered, and it's easier for them to put it on you, project it
mm,
towards you, than to address the trigger.
yeah, yeah. And if
And
they're
that's
triggered by it, then it's not something I want to share with them. That's not the space to do it in. Because I
mm,
don't want to offend other people. If they're triggered by it, then I will celebrate happily by myself,
mm.
or
Yeah.
with people who
who
understand
get
that.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, with your tribe, yes, your people.
Your
I don't know
people.
how we ended up
Yes.
there, but
You know,
um,
find
But
your
that is
tribe.
a question that I have brought up with other people sometimes, because I have noticed that there's a tendency with women, but with men as well, but with women to have that framing of um I don't know how to say it's not I don't use the word judging because I don't really think it's judging, but it's the way that we assess our comfort level in a room.
yeah,
And so once somebody is kind of like shifting what has been established as the baseline, that can bring up feelings in a person as in, ooh,
yeah,
I
it
don't know
makes
how I
sense.
feel about
Nobody
this.
likes change. Yeah,
Yeah. Or even in terms of showing up. Because if I'm holding myself back for X reasons and now I'm seeing somebody showing up and they don't have that harness, it's either I now have to address why am I harnessing myself?
yeah,
Why have I accepted that this harness is appropriate? And what am I not accomplishing as a result of the harness? Those are sometimes questions people don't want to have
yeah.
with themselves.
Mm,
Yeah,
But it goes back to your core values and asking yourself those hard questions and
exactly.
actually listening
Exactly.
for the answer is important.
And it may not be right for everyone because for some people their core value is what's the word I'm thinking of? Not demure, but for some people it is an actual core value for them to be rather discreet. That's the word, discretion.
Yeah,
And so for somebody like that, being, braggadocious will not be authentic. But for somebody
yeah,
who
yeah,
is celebratory, who is, festive, who is jubilant, who
yeah.
does believe, asking them to now be discreet is also going to be
Yes, yes.
inauthentic. So I think we need to have a little grace in what we allow and others, how we allow others to present themselves. It may not
Yeah.
always be the way that is right for us, but it doesn't mean it's wrong for them.
Exactly. Just different strokes for different folks, right?
mm, mm.
Those older dash.
Yeah.
Yeah. Coach Sean says, the women who changed history weren't acting ladylike.
Yeah, very true. Yes.
Don't
Yeah,
do
but
it.
maybe we need to change the definition of what ladylike is. Yeah.
Yes, yes, for sure. So Mia says, I agree. That's why many ladies play small. Yeah, I think that's a fine line. There's like fine line between discretion, as you talked about, Serena,
Yes.
and literally trying to shrink away. So that
Yeah.
way they would see you. I'm all for as you get older, create your bubble and if no one likes your bubble, then tell them to go and find their own. But you enjoy your happy bubble.
Yeah. My bubble is not for everybody. It's not big enough for everybody. Make your own bubble. That's okay.
You can make your own. We
Yeah.
all can. And by the time we get to 75, that's my rule, right? By 75, I'm not going to listen to anyone's anything, and that literally I'm going to be as ignorant as I can imagine I can be, right? Because by that age, I won't. Who can tell me what to do? No one, right? But then I think, why not start now? Yay,
Why
yay!
wait till 75?
I will never
Exactly.
get there, right? And no, and I think that the funny thing is, I think burnout is largely in our perception of situations. It's in our head. And I think I'm sure we said it. You said it already, Serena. It's how we respond to situations. I think
Yeah.
we can frame things. We can see things differently, and things will be different. That's the thing.
Yeah, reframing and realigning, because once again, once there's that disconnect between the core values and your daily habits, your daily routines, there's going to be friction. And you
Yeah.
can only manage that friction indefinitely for so long. And so it's very important that we start to identify those points of friction and remove them. It's not about
Yes.
managing. Menopause is not about managing anymore. It's about discernment. It's about discerning what to release and what to focus on.
Mm.
Yeah.
And it can be and it will be an equally fruitful, um, what's the word, productive phase of life, but it's going to take a different form. We
Mm.
can't continue to define success by what it was in our 20s and our 30s. That's not the only definition or the only framework for success.
Mm. Mm. So let's just say the context is decisive. Uh, Yay and nay, I'm sure. Context is important, but we are the common denominator in every context we go into. I
True
think
that.
Lisa said it a year earlier. Like, if we're coming with the right with good intentions, then that doesn't that that shouldn't stop us being ourselves. It's, being our maybe being our best selves that we can be on that day.
Yeah.
That's what we can do. We can't be our best selves every day, right?
And that's
Well,
another thing
true. I
I
mean, we're
tell
only
women is
human.
that your best is going to look different day to day as well. Don't think that,
Yes.
100% looks the same day to day either, because that's another way that you're setting yourself up to feel like you are in decline. When once
Yes.
again, that's not what the era is asking for. It's not asking for unsustainable output. It's asking for targeted output.
Mm. I like that. Corinne says you might not know that people are, I guess, are knocked off by your happiness, and afterwards that your joy affects them.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
I have been on the receiving end of that, Christine, so I completely understand it. I think
So-
most
so-
women have
Yeah,
experienced that.
I think most people have. And, I think I'll say that
Yeah.
right. The question for you is, what do we do when that happens? Let's say the event has been you're as happy as can be. It went well as far as you're concerned. You had fun, and then there's people who are now bitching in the background. I didn't. I say, what do you suggest we do?
My thing, I mean, because I'm relatively thin skinned. I've been in this game for like 25 years and I'm
Hmm.
still relatively thin skinned. But I really have to tell myself at the end of the day, they're talking about me and I'm not talking about them.
Hmm. Hmm.
So right there, why am I absorbing it? Why is that something for me to absorb? If there's something um, that I could do better, and I
Hmm.
can see a germ of that in what's being said, then okay, I will take that. But for the rest of it, it's human nature.
Yeah.
People have different motivations, they have different triggers, they're in different capacities to receive,
Hmm.
and that's not my job. My
Yeah.
job is just to
Yeah.
show up,
Everybody
be
has an
authentic,
opinion.
Hmm.
yeah, and release the rest. Just release it. Say thank you, be on your way, and release
Hmm.
it as much as you can. That's
But I,
really
I
all you
do
can
think you
do.
should I do think you should listen to it because there may be something that you're not realizing you're doing that's coming across in a negative way. So I think you should listen to it and analyze it. Okay, is there any truth to what they're saying? And if there is, okay, I go back to the drawing board and say, what can I do better? But for me, if you're always coming from a place of love and gratitude and of service, then it's always about the other person. It's never about me. So I always try to analyze what am I doing? Is this going to come across the right way? Is this for the people I serve? Is the message right? And if I'm always coming from a place of service and gratitude and love, then you'll be very hard pressed to find fault with what I'm doing. But if you do, I still listen, I still acknowledge it. And if it's not for me, as in maybe it's jealousy or something on their end, then just, as I said, just brush it off. Okay, thank you for the feedback. And I move on. I don't let that affect me. But I do think we should pay attention, especially if you're a coach and you're in service of others. We do owe it to people to listen when we're given a message. You listen and take that feedback and see if that feedback was right for you, if you could do anything with it. And if not, then people, as I said, people always have an opinion. Sometimes it works and sometimes they're just venting for something else. And you say, okay, and you move on.
Yeah. You're kinder than me, Lisa. And you know what I'm
Because of the
like.
woman I serve, yes. Because of the woman I serve, I try to
No,
be, because I know what it's like to be, all angry and venting as well. So,
I'm never angry and venting because no one can get me that riled up, right? Here's the problem I see with society and the way we go about things like that. Of course, we have to listen. So the issue that I see is that we're very good at listening to the 1%. So whatever you do, 99% of people are happy with it. They enjoyed themselves. They benefited. You've done your bit as far as they're concerned. And then one person says, "Oh, I didn't like that," and then we focus all our efforts on that negativity. We're like,
yeah,
no, don't do that. Ignore that person. You say thanks. Great. I'm glad. You know, I think about it. Don't think about it.
yeah.
Go with the
That's not the
99%.
audience I was trying to reach. So,
Go with those. Don't focus on the negativity
yeah,
when it's from a minority, especially.
true,
Because
yes.
there always be that minority out there somewhere, right? Again, as Corinne says, we recognize and commemorate in different ways. We do. So you do what gives you joy. So, as long as you're not
Yes,
upsetting others, intentionally.
exactly. As long as you're not hurting anyone, then
As Sean says, stop playing small. That's the message today, right? Whether you're male, female,
yes,
whatever you identify as, right?
I've been
And
telling people all week, don't dim thy light. Do not dim
yeah,
thy light. I've had a lot of women this week who, for some reason, I don't know if it's something astrological or what, but they've all been downplaying where they've reached in life, midlife.
yeah,
And I just
mm,
keep saying, don't dim thy light. Don't dim it.
yeah, it's time to shine. God, no. Again, as Corinne says, you've earned the right to be outspoken. I certainly have. And we all have. If you're in midlife, tr- take it from me. You've earned the right to be you. You
My
spend so
word is
long.
audacious. My word for this year is audacious. I'm showing
Yeah,
up audaciously. I'm being audacious. I'm on this LinkedIn live audacious.
yeah.
I'm going to I'm going to 2026 with audaciousness. No apologies.
yes.
Yeah.
It's a good word for it. Corinne is going with relevance. Yeah, again, you know, we can create such genius. I think we can create many things. Where we are in life, where we can create. And I wish we'd be more confident to give the world our gift rather than keep taking, rather than keep absorbing. We have a lot to give to the world. I think
Yes,
now.
with the known, the world they gift, yes, when you play small.
How you doing, Jackie? So glad
I
you're
try.
here. Uh, what can we say? Yolanda says everyone has an opinion. Yes, you get to decide whether it's worth considering. Yes, I totally agree.
Yes, you get
That's it.
to. That's exactly right.
That's it.
You don't have to. You get to.
The negative ones are always there. I say,
Yeah,
but they're a minority. That's my point, right?
Very
They're,
true, Corinne.
hmm, well,
Socialization does play a very big part. And it can be a very hard thing to untangle, because especially when it comes from people that we love and we respect and that we hold in high esteem. For us to then start to dismantle things that they gave us or inculcated in us, it can feel like a betrayal to some women, to reject certain truths that they were given. But you really need to look at whether it was serving you. My thing is, you're not rejecting the person, you're rejecting a thinking that might have made sense for the world that they were in. But the world that we are embodying now in 2026 is not the world that they were in at our stage in life. So
Mm.
you're not
Yeah.
rejecting the person, you're rejecting a socialization that no longer makes sense in 2026, for the world that we are in now. But you can still love the person and love what they gave you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
chutzpah. It's a different kind of word. Try.
Chutzpah. I have a lot of
Yeah,
chutzpah. I do.
what's that then? What? So, what's that in the scheme of things? What's chutzpah?
Oh, it's audaciousness. It's a Yiddish word.
That's all right.
Basically, is yeah.
Again, as we are saying now, it's what people are saying and
Is
what
it is it chutzpah or chutzpah? I can't remember.
Chutzpah.
It's such an old chutzpah. I think it's
Okay,
just such an
same,
old
same,
word.
same word, same word. Okay,
It's a,
It's a good old lady word.
I live and learn. I live and learn.
it's an old
You
word.
know,
I think it's Jewish. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
yeah,
I'm so sure someone will put in the comments. Any other
yeah.
comments? Any, because it's almost time to wrap up. I need to take
Yes,
some
I thought Dr. Marcia
whatever's
was
up.
coming. Yeah,
I feel like the
so
comments are now rolling in. Like
Yeah.
everyone's warmed up.
yeah, let's say Coach Brenda Lees, how you doing? So they can
Hi,
see you.
Bernice.
I can see you. Okay, I can see you as well. Now. You're there. How you doing? So never too late, and the video is always there on your DM anyway, to playing along, right? Lisa, I know you have to go, so
Do you want to drop the link again, or is it somewhere that people who came in later will be able to
yeah,
get it?
yeah. Let me find it.
I can
It's
drop
my
it again. I just know it's not clickable, unfortunately.
oh, um,
Well, just you could put in comments a copy and paste if it's not
yeah.
Okay,
I'm
let me do
thinking.
that.
so that people remember. Yeah.
Hmm.
Alrighty.
And just remind persons what they get with this, what these questions will do.
All right. Whew, hold on.
Where do I want to get to?
Now we're all like tech.
Yeah, well, no, they would frantically trying to find a way to get your comment onto the comment section. That way it's there, and then people can click on it, I think.
I mean, once it's on LinkedIn, it's fine. I believe. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay.
So Serena, so remind our friend what the discernment questionnaire is all.
Yes,
Yes,
please. Yeah.
it's a free download that will present you with 7 questions, irrespective of whether you're in perimenopause or menopause. But it's in line with our talk today. 7 questions that will allow you to see where you may be draining your energy and where you maybe need to take stock of where you are focusing your time and attention. So it's really about 7 questions to discern what is important to you, where your values lie, and where there may be alignment and equally disconnect in your daily life and routine, so that we can hopefully navigate and address burnout before it becomes a crisis point, because we don't want that.
Excellent.
Excellent. Yeah.
Right.
Serena, just want to say thank you for sharing your knowledge with us. I know this show
Oh,
took a
thank you
while
for
to come
having
off.
me.
So many
Thank you for
tech
having me.
issues today and last week, but I really appreciate you being here. I'm sure we'll have you on the show sometime again in the future. So,
No
but I'm,
problem.
I'm hoping that you start your own LinkedIn lives as well because you
Well,
have a
now
lot to share.
the edge is off. The edge is off. We broke.
Yes, you've
Broke
been
new
baptized,
ground
so you
today.
can.
Yes, thanks for having me. Any?
Yes, right.
Yes, if you need any kind of guidance, and he's the godfather of LinkedIn, live
I will
Everyone.
rooms and
definitely
all
reach
that.
out.
So yes, and books and all the other things he supports us with. So
Yeah. So I'm trying to find your name so I can tag you. Yeah, I found you. So that's cool. All right. So so the link to your survey, your questionnaire is in the comments. I guess if people need help, how do they find you, Serena?
Well, you can find me at 21noeltrace.com. That's the number 21noeltrace.com. And of course, you can find me on LinkedIn right
Okay.
here. So you can just click on my profile, Serena Nicole Bland, and you can reach out, send me a DM. I'm very approachable.
Yeah.
yes, please connect with each other.
Yes, I'd love to hear from
That's
you if you
why
have
we
any
do
questions
these
that
shows.
arose from today.
If you struggle, I guess message me or Lisa, then we can always work out a group chat with Serena if it comes to, right? And always connect
Yes,
you
this is
with
what's fun.
that
We do
conversation.
that, right?
Yes. Extreme
Yeah, the
self.
toy. I thought it was George, yeah. Yeah, yeah. It's an old term that I hear a lot in shows from in New York as well.
Yes, very much.
Yeah. But anyhow, folks, I really don't need to leave. I have a meeting right after, and I need to go take some medication because my face is swelling.
Oh gosh.
I'm allergic to something in here. But thank you
You've
so
done
much, Sabina,
you've
for
done well.
being here. I'm fine. I just need some meds before I can't talk again. But thank you everyone for being here, for joining live, for showing up on the replay to watch. If you have any questions or any comments, please leave them. We do read them after. We do answer the questions. If you are struggling with anything to do with perimenopause or menopause, please reach out to me in the DMs. Let's have a conversation. And to join us again in about 3 weeks' time. The next show will be the first week in June for another topic to do with perimenopause and
Three
menopause.
weeks or 2 weeks? No, why 3 weeks?
Because I'm giving Paulette some time off as well. She's not 100%. Please keep her in your prayers. And I need some time off as well. My body is kind of breaking down. I'm taking Serena's advice before we go to the
Yeah, yeah. So you
yeah.
should. So you should. Oh well, we'll talk. So you can tell me exactly when the date is. That's where it's going forward,
Yes,
right?
yes. I think it's the
Thanks.
first week in June, yeah.
Oh, cool, cool. All right, now thank you, Serena. Thank
No
you, Dr.
problem.
You know, you take care, everyone. So do connect and do get in touch. My YouTube friends, please like today's video, comment, and and I don't know, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, right? But thank you so much, everyone. Take care. Say we're going. Bye, 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 bye.
Every step forward is a new beat to your drama. She's success with Global.Media.com and celebrating with or without champagne or rum. She's success with Global.Media.